Good evening, everyone. Welcome to December's parish council meeting. We are expecting two district councils. First of all, apologies. I've got apologies from County Councillor Linda Cohen. She's not well. And also from District Councillor Ken Tucker. He's not well. I invite councillors for the declarations of interest, please. Before I go on, I'm going to change the order of the agenda. I'm going to bring forward item 10, which is a discussion about how we can improve communications with parishioners. To follow on after item 5. You can have to. Moving on then to item 3. Last meeting. Stephen, Keenan, happy with them?
Yeah.
We agree to sign them off?
Yeah.
Sign them off later. This is the stage at which we open the meeting to members of the public to raise any issues they wish to raise. Your opportunity to speak if you have anything you wish to say. Ask someone.
Can I just say something? I'm just going to record for this, okay? Just to let you know.
Okay.
Is that okay? I'll stand up at the back and I'll record a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you as well.
Yeah, if I may speak, Chair. I emailed the Parish Council on the 6th of November initially about an incident that happened adjacent to our property, in which the police have had to sadly be notified because a member of the Parish Council was taking photographs, unpermitted photographs of our property, and unfortunately it's a safeguarding issue because our children were present. I did highlight this to the clerk in an email. She's kindly responded, but unfortunately at this point I'm still no further on with any sort of outcomes. And so unfortunately I have to bring it up at this meeting. Everything that has happened has gone against your code of conduct, which I have in front of me. Obviously, I know, Chair, you've read the email because you've been copied into the responses. And basically I need to know what I do here and what is to happen from this. What happened is a breach of our human rights, basically, fundamentally, first and foremost. Each and every one of us should be able to enjoy our own property without fear of, people taking photos, and I'm sure you wouldn't appreciate anyone coming around to your personal property and taking photos of you. But the bigger issue is the fact that our children were present. And with all due respect, I don't know anything about any of you guys and what checks that you've got to have, but that is not acceptable on any level at all. So I'd just be interested to actually have some feedback face to face, because to date I've not had any real response.
The Parish Council has not asked anybody to take photographs of you or your.
Yeah, which you kindly responded, which
And
is
that is a
fine.
fact. If individuals who are parish councillors happen to be operating as individuals, that is a matter for them as individuals.
He's still a councillor, though, isn't he? He's
Sorry.
He's still a councillor.
Sorry, I'm speaking.
Yes, I'm right. He's still a councillor, so there's no excuse. Councillor working behind of the parish or himself, he's still a councillor. He still should be going by that code of conduct.
Are you going to be quiet or not?
No.
Well, I'm not going to answer the
We'll
question.
carry on then, I'll be quiet.
Right. People who operate outside of the parish council are not operating as parish councillors. That is the way in which parish councils work. That's the way in which district councils work. No one's been authorised by this council to take photographs of your.
Fine,
yours.
so how do you stand then with your model member of code of conduct on page 3? It says here, in accordance with the public trust placed in me, on all occasions I will act with integrity and honesty, act lawfully, treat all persons with civility, lead by example, etc., etc. Do I need to go on? You have signed that, adopted that. I presume all of you are aware that that was the case. It's on your parish website for everybody to access. So if that's the case, where do I go from here?
If you have a complaint about this parish council, you take it to Stroud District Council, to the monitoring officer, Catherine. Can you give members of the public a name?
I've tried to send an email to the monitoring officer, it just pings straight back. So unless I write a physical letter, I can send you. That would be lovely,
I
thank you.
suggest that's what you do, write a physical letter
So
to the monitoring officer. It's not a matter for this parish council.
So you're not going to look into behaviour of a parish councillor?
What people do outside of the parish council is a matter for them as individuals.
So you accept that then, do you? If he's a councillor, then he's still a councillor. Even if he was a police officer, what he does outside of being a police officer, still got a
It's a
comeback,
different
isn't
matter.
it? No, it's not, he's a councillor, he's been.
It's not on that. It specifically says in this code, the purpose of the code of conduct is to assist the councillors in modelling the behaviour expected of them. And it does go on to state that every councillor should hold himself and the council in, or the reputation of the council, they take that with them wherever they go, whatever they're doing, you're supposed to uphold.
It doesn't say.
It specifically says it in the code of conduct.
Well, I've told you what to do. If you have a complaint about this council, you take them over to the monitoring officer. That is the way in which it works. Am I correct in that, Catherine?
Yeah, completely. I'll give you the email address so it doesn't be mine. That would be lovely.
Okay, can I just ask you that the parish councillor works?
I think that's a matter for.
Sorry, Tim.
Can I just ask you the parish councillor works?
Yeah, it's Councillor Palmer.
Because from my memory, that's the second, since I've been a councillor, that is the second complaint that we've had, isn't it? About Councillor Palmer. Because do you remember we had a complaint about Wood Lane when Councillor Palmer actually said, because I remember there was a discussion, if you remember, because Councillor Palmer was demanding to know what was happening with the reservoir when the new owner was there. And I specifically remember that the chap asked, "Who are you?" And they said, there was a whole discussion, "I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you." And Councillor Palmer, and that was another complaint, wasn't it?
Wasn't a complaint made to this council?
Is that right, Clark? I seem to remember there was a complaint, a written complaint, because I remember you actually said that in correspondence.
I can't remember specifically, but I can try to look it up.
Well, I definitely remember it.
Tim, can I just say, can I just check? Have I dealt with your query?
No, because I haven't had an answer as to what you're going to do with the parish council, knowing full well this behaviour has gone on.
We as a parish council are not responsible for what people do outside of the parish council.
Sorry,
If
I
you
missed
think
that.
we are, then take it up with the monitoring officer. That is the correct procedure.
Well,
Can I just,
it's been a whole month of going to and fro. I mean, your complaints procedure is out of date and not really understandable. And kindly, Mandy has been coming back and forth to me with bits and pieces, but it's all very confusing. If that's the model member code, and I'm reading that, that's what I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, that's what we're to believe, the interpretation of how you're to behave. And you're not concerned at all that you've got a counsellor sitting on the council that's taking photos of young children. I don't know if he's a paedophile, do I?
I don't know what Councillor Palmer was doing.
Well, let's ask him. Because he refused to answer both myself and my brother at the
Just
time.
whatever I win, but split up.
If it was a
And we've got
complete,
video evidence as well.
I think we're on very dangerous ground if you're going to start accusing individuals of being a paedophile. without
I
any-
didn't
How do
accuse
we
him.
know?
I didn't accuse him of being a
How do
pedophile. I
you
said,
know?
how do I know that
Exactly,
he's
you don't know
not?
who he knows.
We don't,
No,
we don't, I don't know if you are, I don't know if
accusation.
anybody else in
Well,
here
how
is.
do we know?
You
Was
can't
it-
make that accusation.
Well, no, it's
I
taking
can.
pictures of
Sorry,
children.
can you bring us to order, please?
No, we want an answer.
I've given you the answer.
So you fobbed us off by putting a complaint in. We just asked, why don't we let Mr. Palmer say something? Because obviously you didn't want to say anything at the
If
time.
Councillor Palmer wants to say something, you can talk to say so.
Mr. Palmer?
Well, I think.
Okay.
That's great, it's all in it, really, to be honest.
Sorry, can I hold on here? So we decided that Councillor Palmer wasn't acting on council instruction.
Yeah.
Therefore, as a member of the public, was taking or not taking photographs. So this isn't the right forum to be inquiring to the member of the public about whether or not he's taking photographs.
So should he be carried on as a councillor then?
That would.
Should he be carried on as a
that would be
councillor
monitoring officer.
if he's acting on his-
That would be down to the monitoring officer.
Okay, that's your name.
Can I just make one point as a complete outsider, as I said to the previous one, a newcomer? With what I heard at last month's meeting about trouble with the planning committee or something, and what I just heard out, I am absolutely appalled, and I want that limited, the behaviour of this parish council, about our dealings as a tenant farmer with the county council for 40 years, sitting on various committees within the county council, and this capped the lot of that. Absolutely appalling. And I think, hang on a minute, I'm speaking, and you're chair. I don't care whether you're chair or the queen. I am speaking. You don't interrupt me the same as I won't interrupt you. I think
You have interrupted.
No, I haven't finished speaking when you tried to interrupt. I think if Mr. Palmer, who I assume is the man in the corner, has any decency whatsoever, he should stand up and explain exactly what he was doing. I'm finished.
Right.
I want that minuted, please. And I want the minutes published on your website for next time, as they were this time. Thank you.
The minutes get published, to clear that point up, after they've been approved. The minutes have now been approved at this meeting.
Okay.
They get published after this meeting.
There's no agenda, sorry.
Right. Tim.
So there's two things. We could publish the minutes as a draft form, just to make that very clear. We could, as long as we state they're a draft, legally we can publish them as a draft form. No, I'm just adding to what you said. We definitely did have a complaint made to us about Dave Palmer. Now, what I am going to ask is at what point do we represent the council? Because you say about there was no formal instruction
No, sorry.
made
You
with
say-
regards to
Tim,
the.
you say no instruction.
Sorry.
There was no discussion about this.
Sure, you just said that to Mr.
And you just interrupted me, just as you have
Yes,
other members
because
of
this
the
is a
council.
public session, not a session for councillors.
Okay.
So can we come back to that in a minute, please?
Come back to which bit, sorry.
Well, can I just clear up with members of the public whether there's any other questions they want to ask? First of all, I've answered your question. The answer to your question is, as far as this parish council is concerned, Councillor Palmer was not acting on council instructions. He was therefore not acting as a parish councillor if he was taking photographs of your property. If you've got any complaints about that, it goes to the monitoring officer, and I believe you've now been given details of that.
Yes, I have. So just to be 100% sure, 100% get this straight, you're not going to investigate any of my allegations about Councillor Palmer and what I've just asked, just so that I know that whatever happens from here on in, because now it is a formal process. Like I said in my email, so you need to be aware. The fact that you're refusing to investigate my investigate my email and the content of that, now will make you and the rest of this parish complicit in that behaviour.
We have taken advice, and advice is that people are entitled to take photographs anywhere.
Right.
Okay.
That's the advice we were given. Councillor Palmer was not acting on behalf of this council if he was taking photographs. What people do in their own private time is their own matter. Okay.
Well, I would like to ask again, why, if councillor Palmer has nothing to hide whatsoever, why can he not stand there and speak and defend himself?
That's for Councillor Palmer.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Could you, as chairman, not ask him to do that, as you are in charge of this council? Or are you not prepared to ask him?
It's not for me to tell him what to
You
do.
didn't say tell him, I said ask him.
Well,
There's a huge difference.
I think Councillor Palmer's made it quite clear he doesn't want to say anything.
He hasn't said a word.
Well, precisely.
Well, let him say that he doesn't want to say anything.
I think we've got the answer.
No, we haven't.
Right. He's just nodding to me that.
No, we haven't. It's being recorded. We need a verbal answer from you or from councillor Palmer. You have no wish whatsoever to discuss it.
Right, let's move on to the next.
No.
Okay, I'm going to say, regardless of what the chairman says, I'm sorry that you've had to put up with that. I'm a parish councillor. I do not think it is the right thing to have done. I think it's embarrassing that it has to be brought up in this matter. Is this the second complaint that we have had about this parish councillor? I am sorry for that.
Thank you.
Can I just say there is another one that's not actually been formally reported yet. I think it will be, but it actually happened up at Ashton Plains campsite, where the said same councillor that they're wandering on private property taking pictures there as well. So I'm guessing that wasn't anything to do with the parish council either, but I just wanted to make you aware that the incident that's happened here is not the first time.
Is it against the law to take photographs?
Well, on private property, I'm guessing it is.
Yes. Yes, it is actually. You need permission from the owner of the property on private property. On public highway, etc., you don't need permission, but on private property, you do.
If you're on private property, yes.
Okay, so can I ask David Palmer where he
I can
was?
answer that one. I was not there taking pictures. On the slide.
Really?
So were you on private property?
I was on a public footpath.
And I don't know, so we've had another allegation just made just now. Can you confirm that?
Tim, can I just ask you, who are you operating on behalf here?
I'm operating on behalf of the parish. I'm a parish councillor,
We know that.
absolutely a parish councillor.
And
And
so
so,
acting as judge and jury or just as counsel for the prosecution?
Right, sorry, we've had an answer to your question. You asked the question, you actually made an accusation that Councillor Palmer was taking photographs of Ashton Plains.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
He is confirmed that he wasn't doing that.
Right, well, the owners aren't here to say yea or nay, so I
Well, I'm just
don't.
telling you. Do members of the public have any other questions?
I think this young lady here. and,
Yeah, it wasn't really a question, just a point of clarification. When there are issues relating to code of conduct, either to district councillors, parish councillors or town councillors, the monitoring officer, who's kind of sort of semi-legal duties, would investigate the case and take a decision. And that seems to be the best course of action in every case, because it's somebody who's independent, who has experience of managing all kinds of issues. So I think the best thing is to raise it with Stephen. You've got contact for Kathy, the chief executive, who will pass on the information. I'll let her know that you're going to be in touch. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Any other members of the public with questions, please?
Just got one question from last month. That obviously word got round, thankfully a lot of hedges have been cut back. Did the county, is there a county council representative here?
No, she's still.
I just wondered where they got to with asking a question about all these big stones on the side of the road.
Yes, we put advice on that.
Okay,
on the parish council Facebook on the tract,
Yes.
and it's also on the edge. And basically, the advice is that if people come across stones as you
Yeah.
reported, which you believe are on the highway, my understanding, correct me if I get it wrong, Martin. My understanding is if it's within a metre of the road, and it's on highways property,
that is what I thought.
and that is,
Yeah. Okay.
then that is, that could lie, and put someone liable
Yeah.
to action.
Yeah.
But the first thing to do is to report that. There is an online facility with highways,
Okay,
which is a very easy system. It's the same one you use to report a pothole.
okay,
It's very easy. You go onto the map, you basically double click the location,
oh, I see.
and you report it.
Right, okay.
And then highways will investigate it.
Right,
Okay.
thank you.
So that is the process for that. And indeed, that's the process that we explained to commissioners about potholes or any other things. And the other issue about hedgerows, yes, we've reported that as well,
Yeah, no, it's
Um,
fantastic.
but I don't know whether that's been sorted or not, because it's not.
No, there's quite a number of them that I mentioned that have been, this is far safer now.
Good,
Thank
okay.
you very much.
Any other questions before I close it? Okay.
Say something about the stones. Is it appropriate for me to say something about
If you wish to, yes.
Okay. The roadside verges are there as a refuge for pedestrians. It's especially true for families with small children. Vehicles should at all times remain on the paved road surface unless in an emergency. I applaud all property owners who take care of the verge adjacent to their properties. It's helpful to pedestrians, dog walkers and children by giving them a safe space. If the resident feels it necessary to place stones on the verge to deter vehicles from encroaching on this safe space, then that is for the good of the community. The stones on the verge at Forfait have been there for more than 30 years to my knowledge, with no complaints. They're situated on a bend with little visibility where several collisions have happened. If vehicles cannot pass here without driving on the verge, then one driver should reverse to a position where vehicles can safely pass. If drivers cannot reverse their vehicle, then they should not be driving. That's my personal opinion.
Well, I've told you the highways position.
That's personal opinion, not. So the same rule then, that the first meter should not be obstructed.
That's the advice we've got.
And as Councillor Palmer's just stated, that should be a safe haven for like the young lady with the pushchair, which she cannot get on there because of these huge concrete blocks.
And that's,
So I will,
so if you wish to report
Thank you.
back to highways, the highways will look into that.
because I can't get the other.
Thank you. Tim, I cut you off just now. Anything else you want to add?
No, fine, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
You asked if there was any further, excuse me, any further statements to make. As part of your agenda, I believe, is to discuss a planning issue.
Sandfield?
For Sandfield.
Yes.
Perhaps this would be an appropriate time just to.
Well, can I suggest when we're talking about, I'll give you the opportunity to talk then. I think we usually find that works better.
Yeah.
Because if you talk now and then we defer it. You okay with that?
Absolutely.
Nick, thank you very much for coming along. Next item on the agenda is in fact the discussion about how we're going to have a public meeting on the play area. Do you want to say anything on it, or do you want me to say a word or two first of all?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, you can probably broadcast the best thing.
Okay. Well, first of all, welcome, Nick. Nick has been doing a lot of work in conjunction with the parish council. I think it was your idea in the first place, I think, with a number of other parents in the village. And it's certainly a proposal which is welcome by this parish council. Unfortunately, you weren't able to attend the last meeting. And with COVID and so on, this thing is dragged on rather longer, I know, than you wanted it to. But now where we are is Nick has had a meeting with a firm who produce this equipment, and they've got some suggestions as to how we might want to go forward. What we need to do though is we need to have an open meeting for members of the public. We really want as many members of the public as possible at this meeting. We need parents, we need the school represented, we need villagers represented, we need particularly people who live in that area of the Jubilee Field present, because we need to consult on your proposals, how we're going to take them forward, and where indeed in the recreation field we're going to take them forward. There are limitations on that, as we know from looking before, but we've got a couple of possible sites, and I think it's a question of consulting with everybody and getting people's views on it. Now, it would be rather nice if we got 100% in agreement, but I suspect we won't. But nevertheless, I think what this parish does need, as Councillor Purnell has reminded us on numerous occasions, is we need something like many other parishes have got. Like we've got Extended, we've got Hawkesbury Upton, which is a modern play area for children. And not the one out here, which is primarily for, I would say, for 2 to 4 year olds. We want something which is going to be suitable for a wide age group. Nick has done a certain amount of money raising on that. We've made some progress on that, but we've got a long way to go. So that meeting is also about trying to get people involved in raising money for it. As I say, and consulting how we're going to go forward. So publicity is important. Sorry, can I carry on with it?
Yeah.
Publicity is important. We're going to use as many vehicles as possible on that. We've got ideas of using obviously Facebook, obviously using websites. We've got we've already purchased space on the edge, which is due to go out at the end of January. So what we really need to do tonight, if possible, is to start to pin down the dates. We're looking probably at February, late February. Does that make?
Yes.
When's the
Yeah.
return?
So. Weeks commencing the 21st, Monday the 21st.
Is that the same across the board?
Probably. It's the same as here.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, same as North Nibley, yeah.
So is it better to have it during the school holiday or not?
I think because people might be away.
Okay. So probably what, the week before, the week after next?
So, yeah.
Well, yeah, it could be the week commencing the 14th, I think. Yeah. Or if it went into the first week of March, I don't think it would be a showstopper.
No.
We're just looking for it to be as best planned as possible, aren't we? So
Is there a night that's better for everybody? You know, I mean, like for meetings for schools and things, is better than another time?
I don't know routine parents are in, so I think that people are always going to have constraints, and I think if we can get out there as early as possible, then it gives those people with those constraints the best opportunity of making arrangements to get there.
I'd like to suggest a Friday night, and then at least the parents haven't got the concern of getting the children to school the next morning.
There's the other side of that, is if people are going away for a weekend,
then
Well, there'll always be another side to everything, won't there?
Yeah.
Do we know the village hall?
I would think there's a lesser proportion of people going on holiday.
Need to check availability of the hall. And there's possibility,
Sorry,
or that possibility will be there.
I would have thought not a weekend.
Just to, the PC meeting is Monday the 7th of March.
Well, perhaps we could have it the week before that.
That's the 20 to 28th of February, is a Monday.
But was that make sense to you, Nick?
That does to me, yeah.
What about for Ben?
He was, so he says he's free any time in February.
So if we went for Tuesday or Wednesday that week?
So that'll be the Tuesday, the first or second. Yeah.
So we won't get the
ball on Tuesday.
Sorry,
Tuesday, he was promoted.
all right, we will get to
Tuesday
Tuesday.
on Tuesday.
Okay, well, thanks for that, George.
Wednesday, I don't know.
So perhaps the Wednesday, the 2nd.
Yeah.
We'll best, what we'll do is we'll contact,
Dan.
Contact Dan and we'll come back and check that out.
Yeah, sounds good.
What sort of time of the evening are you thinking?
I would say around the same time as this,
7?
7:30. Because it's early enough, I think people won't get home and sit down and think. But late enough to probably sort out how to get
okay.
home
Okay,
and getting home and what.
so publicity then. Any other ideas on publicity?
I think the prime option is on the edge because everyone gets to do the letterbox. It's the absolute, for me, in this village, I think it's the number one.
If we back that up with, you've done an article on this already.
I made a statement on Facebook, which was a reasonable statement that could just be used again with updates of the few days. Put back on the Facebook page of the council, I think. Or indeed the exact statement that will go into the on the edge and then just be replicated.
Is that the one that we communicated?
That's the one, yeah.
Okay. I just need to put some dates and times in there.
Yeah, I think that's good to go.
Okay.
What do you think about the idea that we had some time about, getting in touch, putting something in all the book bags and things like that at the school?
Again, I did think about that and we could again just print that off. That's A5 and the same thing goes in that.
Because if we put it in at the beginning of February, I know you've got half term in the middle, but it gives parents a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And then maybe, is there a school WhatsApp group or Facebook?
Yeah, it's Facebook groups, yeah.
Then maybe
Yeah.
there could be a reminder, the sort of the last week in February, saying don't forget meeting
Yeah,
next
well, because
Wednesday.
people will forget.
Yeah,
That's
I
human
know.
nature.
Yeah,
So the two on the edges being sorted.
Yeah.
The Facebook page will update with that statement and then we'll sort out in early February
school.
some insertions to put back
And then we're going to do a mail drop
along this specific.
along the houses, won't we?
Yeah, I think a mail drop of 10 to 15 of the people in the immediate vicinity quite early on this side of Christmas. Probably help.
Would it help if we had a mini subcommittee, if that makes sense? So I'm quite happy to just have like an hour's meeting one night, just not necessarily everybody wants to come, but I know in the past we've had
That would be
subcommittee.
handy.
Pardon?
Oh, sorry, yeah, that would be handy, I think.
Yeah. If you do, I'm quite happy to be on that.
I don't mind, yeah.
Yeah, so that's Tim and I
And we could just review those
Yeah.
survey 90 questions as well, just tweak them.
Yeah. Are you happy with that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Okay, sorry, you were suggesting?
Yeah, just obviously, I don't attend very often, so I have no idea about this play area, but being an ex-group secretary here, a little bit of experience on those type of things, and they can work out very, very expensive.
Yeah,
Have you thought about going for any grant funding?
yeah, we have
Sports
already.
for all?
Yeah, we
Sports
already
for all is a
have.
very good one, national lottery.
Well, I think, Nick, you,
Actually, the National Lottery one was closed for that sort of, the start of COVID for play areas for our part. But Gloucestershire County Council produce a monthly bulletin of over 100 pages of funding which is available, which is really handy. So I'm sure through that, I'd probably do that again. Actually.
Many times.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for the tip, yeah.
thank you. I think, one of the things that Nick is keen to do is to involve some parishioners in working on money.
The funding part of it, I really isn't like that. I find that just being set up by Catherine actually. Funding is really not my forte.
So did you contact with Alison?
I have spoken with Alison, yeah.
Alison has great history of playing and being very successful for clubs. So I would really maybe talk to her again and see whether we can find a cake.
A possible revenue stream that we've found quite successful in the past that most people don't think of is Masons. Because there's lots and lots of different groups of Masons, and in the past, you have to get in touch with them individually as lodges.
I couldn't tell you who.
But
I know one.
we have in the past been fairly successful with applying to lodges.
Okay, thank you.
We've also got the lions and the buffaloes, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think once we've got some ideas being published, then we're in a stronger position to go for grant funding.
It fuels itself really, because you need to design to say to someone, I need some money for this, but equally, it's been a bit of a 6 of one hand and a dozen the other, trying to start with what to start first. And so, but I think if it's gathering momentum slowly, then they're starting to fuel each other.
Well, I think the other thing is the parish council, I think, would want to look at what it would contribute perhaps from the legacy fund. But we can talk about that another time. But that's something which we would look at, I think, near the time when you've got some proposals.
Chairman, can I
Yes.
just raise one question about the costs?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a physical cost of the equipment. Is the cost going to include a sum for ongoing maintenance?
I think we'd have to put that into the parish council budget in future years.
Right. Okay. So it'd be a parish council issue rather than.
So the parish, it will be a parish council run equipment in the same way as the adult one is. And we would need to put into our budget to maintain it. And in fact, we may need to think very long term about replacing it eventually. So you would need to put money in, and I know another parish council does just that. And it actually budgets annually, so it accumulates money over a period of time. So that as equipment needs maintenance or repair or replacement, then that fund is there.
I mean, it brings up the whole question of our relationship with the recreation committee, because the recreation committee find it difficult. Many members have been on there for 30 more years or more, and they need replacements, and they're thin on the ground because most members of most people live in the village do not put their hands up for what I call grassroots activities. And so we really need to be aware that because we are custodians ultimately, but we second the running of the recreation field to the recreation committee, and that may have to change too. So we need to bear that.
Well, and it's important that we get also the school involved.
Indeed.
It's important that we get the Recreation Field Trust involved. It's important that we actually also, as we've already previously done, involve people who are representatives of the football and the cricket club, because all those groups are affected by this proposal. So that's why we need a public meeting. Anything I've forgotten, Nick?
No, I think that's
So it's quite possible.
Formats then, just to quickly discuss that. It can either, there's various formats, I suppose. It's either starts at 7 o'clock, there's a table at the top and people sit down in this arrangement and field questions, or it's more of a doors are open between 7 and 10, come in whatever time you like, we'll have some images up and generally walk around and talk to whoever you need to. What are your thoughts on?
I think we might need to give some sort of short presentation initially in order to capture people's interest.
Okay.
I mean, I know you're suggesting that people can fill in surveys either, well, on the day, is that the idea?
So the idea is the survey link will give them the opportunity to do that now.
Right, okay.
But that I envisage there being a hard copy of that same survey here on the day as well.
Yeah.
People didn't have access to it or didn't get around to doing it.
Yeah.
But the same questions either online in advance.
Yeah.
My email, which I'm suggest is 10 queries plus the hard copy on the day.
Okay, thank you.
Can I make a suggestion on the pay equipment? Would it be possible, once you've decided on what certain part, pieces of equipment, similar to like a lot of places do with company sponsor flannel or roundabout, would it be possible to get, like the likes of Mr. Ramshaw who lives in the village, if they sponsor a certain piece of equipment, then you haven't got to worry about the future funding of that piece of equipment?
Mr. Renishaw has already contributed money to.
Yes, I'm sure they have. I'm just using it as an example.
That's an idea. It's a
Yeah,
suggestion.
It was an example, I'm not saying.
Yeah, no, it's a suggestion, yeah. Okay, anybody else got ideas in terms of format on the evening?
I think in looking back over the years I've been involved with the Parish Council, we've had a couple of different evenings, haven't we? We've had an evening to do with different areas of affordable housing, which was very much people came along at the night and milled around and, talked to people, etc. And then we've had a recent meeting that Tim chaired about the neighbourhood development plan. And did you come along to that?
No, I missed
So,
that one.
yeah, so Tim did Tim's presentation
I know.
with PowerPoint and everything. And Tim did a really nice presentation and introduced somebody else who then sort of fed into that. And it was quite formal, but actually people knew the time of the presentation, so they ensured that they were there at that time.
Okay, yeah.
So I wonder whether it's maybe an idea to start off with like say the presentation will be at this time, and then we have the break for refreshments, and then there will be stations around the room that people could go to for more information.
I think we could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People are happy.
I think that might capture, sorry,
That worked really well this time.
yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I think that might capture it better if we did it that sort of format.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Anybody else got?
So, yeah, that's a plan, then we'll agree to do that, just presentation to start and lots of refreshments and then a few stations around. Right.
Perhaps I could ask Mandy if she could draw a plan on this.
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful, and then we've got where we now with December, so we've got then something which we can present. We've already got most of the material on the edge, haven't we? I mean, I like the idea that you were proposing of the centre spread.
We can't guarantee that. We have to give them the material, give them loads of material. They have the editorial decision. The one thing I'm certain of is going to do is about one way or another.
Yeah, but I think
it makes sense.
I think I can speak on behalf of the parish council and say that we would be happy as a council to pay for that on the end, as we've done with previous years.
Yeah.
I think we do need to make this meeting work.
Oh, I'll think that in at the time.
And I think on the edges, Nick has already said, I personally think a lot of people read it. I know a lot of younger people don't, but we need a good cross mix of.
So that's where the idea of a flash on the front page as well.
Yeah.
Would be,
I think that's it. So I think with that, with your piece, your written piece, Nick, with the pictures and the flash on the front, I think that should be. Well, people won't miss it, then.
Right.
They shouldn't.
You can try.
But we can also support it by things like posters around the village, which I think sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But and it goes, it all depends on the weather as well.
It does need to be a combination of everything, I think.
But we'll try for Wednesday, the 2nd of March, subject to the availability of the hall, 7 o'clock. If you can confirm with Mandy or myself,
Yeah.
Ben can do that.
Yeah, I will do, yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, thank you for that. Any parish council want to say anything else on that particular issue?
When would you like to sit down, three of us, and just have a whiz through an hour?
Shall I send, I've got your email.
Yeah.
Shall I send you the email to the rest?
Yeah,
Right, tomorrow, and then we can go from there, is that okay?
yeah.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for your continued enthusiasm and keeping us driving forward. I'm going to move to item 10 on the agenda. I brought this forward because one of the suggestions that's been made by Tim, I think, in July, was we looked at how we would broadcast these meetings. Tim came up with a proposal in November, emailed parish councillors on this suggestion, and we put it on the agenda as this is the next meeting. But I think it's not just about how we broadcast these meetings, I think it's a wider issue of how we communicate with parishioners. Traditionally, we've used various modes. We've used on the edge. We obviously use a website and we don't use a Facebook page. And those things all work to a degree, but there's also a question of whether there are any other ways in which we need to be communicating. I was going to suggest, in fact, one of the things this council might consider doing is what another council I'm aware of do. They have a social media and communications policy. Now that may seem a bit grand, but I think it sets out exactly what the parish council, how the parish council communicates, but also how parishioners communicate with parish council. I think communications do what they do. I think sometimes people don't understand necessarily that the clerk works, I say 11 hours a week, not a full-time post. Sometimes you will get messages saying, I'm not available. And that's the way it is with a part-time clerk. So I'm going to suggest that. I'm going to ask Mandy to put that on. If you think that might be a way forward, I would put that on the agenda for January. As a proposal.
I think that's a good idea. That's
A
fine.
proposal that you can throw out if you wish to. Entirely up to you. Thank you.
No, don't worry.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I think it helps to get an understanding of how we work.
Yeah, definitely.
Anybody else got? Jane, you raised the issue of wider communication.
I did, and I think, over the last few years, we have moved forward and we've tried various ways of communicating with our parishioners. I think, I know Facebook is a bit of a Marmite thing, but whether we love it or hate it, nonetheless, it is a way of getting information across. So we have set up a Facebook page. I think we need to possibly encourage that a little bit, the use of that a little bit more from people who are on Facebook.
I know we put things up on the notice board. I don't know how many people actually physically come to the village to the notice board, is my truthful opinion. I think as councillors, we also need to encourage parishioners to take responsibility, because it's a bit like people who make comments on Facebook or other social media, and are very happy to criticise and do lots of muttering. But actually, there is the facility to come to meetings in the public time and to raise different things. And that is the right and proper way to do it. And I think as councillors, if people stop us in the street or the lane or when we're walking the dog or whatever, and give us their opinion, I think we should encourage them to either come to a meeting or possibly email us as well. And I think that we don't always do that as councillors. Tim has proposed that, I know we're carrying this Zoom tonight, that we record, record our meetings. I think the downside of that is I wouldn't like the misuse of the whole of that recording or part of that recording personally, to be out in the public domain. I think it's useful if people can't come to a meeting for whatever reason. I noticed, Tim, that one of the parishioners said on your Facebook post, could they make comments after the meeting? I don't really think that personally, that's the way forward, and I don't see the point. If there's something in the agenda that they want to talk about, then they should email the council beforehand. If they comment afterwards, what good are those comments, if that makes sense? Unless it's an ongoing matter. And also, Maggie hasn't got time then to take on another role, another job. So, I wonder whether or not, if the meetings are recorded and broadcast, whose property is the content of that recording? And in the state, because of like GDPR and things like that, then once the minutes are agreed and signed for the next meeting, should it be that recording is then not available? Rex, I think you have something.
Well, I thought it would be useful to look into the background of this. I mean, first of all, our standing orders say that anyone who comes to a meeting can record the meeting. Up to now, this council hasn't decided whether it's going to record. That's why it's been put on the agenda tonight. The position on this is that, without going into massive detail, there's legislation for Freedom of Information Act, openness of local government regulations, which actually say that these meetings can be recorded. But I personally think, and it's a personal view, that council, if council is going to record the meetings, the council should do it itself.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because, first of all, the clerk has to do the minutes. It's easier for Mandy to do the minutes from the recording, actually. Right.
That's quite happy when you
And safer. And it enables the clerk to engage more in the meeting. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I think the ownership of the minutes of the recording is then the parish council. So the parish council needs to on through what medium it's going to publish that. But that's a personal view. I'd be interested to hear, and kind of go around the table, please, if I may. James had a comment already, you might say something else. David, can I start with you?
Yes. Before I start, really, I don't use Facebook. I don't think it's an appropriate method for a council to do anything personally. It's a commercial company, and that's my view. As far as filming and recording of parish council meetings, I have not consented to having my voice transmitted over the internet. During the council meeting, council handlers cannot be a councillor and a member of the public at the same time. He has to choose. Either he attends as a member of the public and records the meeting, or he attends as a councillor and takes part in the business of the council. Why are we being asked to film and or record our meetings? What are the benefits? Surely we want people to attend our meetings in person. In my opinion, recording and broadcasting meetings will deter people from attending. It's my belief that recordings of the meetings should only be available to residents of the parish and not worldwide. Once meetings are available on the internet, they can be edited with malicious intent in some cases and posted to Facebook, YouTube, etc. We've seen that on, we've all seen that. And parishioners attending a meeting may not wish their comments spread around the world. In fact, they may be afraid of reprisals, as we know there are some nasty individuals around. Who's going to be in charge of recording? Where will the recordings be stored? I can see it being extra work for the clerk. What about GDPR? Will the PC have to purchase equipment which is not in the budget? Will we have to store this equipment and ensure that it works each month? When I stood for election as a parish councillor, there was never any mention of my contributions being broadcast over the internet. Anyone, resident or not, is allowed to attend our meetings. Why introduce something that will deter individuals from speaking up? It's my right not to have recordings of my legitimate activities spread around the world on social media. Not many people attended meetings on Zoom even during lockdown, except when the housing issue came up. Why would we expect more people to be involved now? If we use Zoom, are remote users going to be allowed to speak? Can members of the public refuse to be recorded? Before any of this happens, we need to have a set of rules, which the chairman mentioned, for recording, as many other councils have. I suggested this some time ago without much interest from other councils. Thank you.
Keith. Thank you, Chairman. I'll kick off by saying that I think your idea of having a social media policy is a good one, and I think that probably is the next step forward. As I understand it, the proposal put forward by Tim is intended to try and improve attendance at parish council meetings and improve the dialogue between the parish council and the parishioners. I have to say, I share the concerns that Jane has put forward. I'm not yet convinced that by broadcasting, this will actually lead to greater attendance at our meetings. And in fact, as Councillor Palmer said, it may in fact put some people off attending. So I still remain to be convinced on that, and I think really that must be part of the debate that we have in January. So that's all I want to say at this particular moment in time.
I'm fairly ambivalent about it. I've been on this parish council longer than anyone else here, and probably longer than anyone else in this room has been here. And my experience is that people only take an interest in the parish council affairs, understandably, when they are personally affected by them. Most of the parish council parishioners go about their daily lives without the need for the parish council, and unfortunately, when an issue does arise, they often think the parish council has more influence than it really has. So I'm not convinced it's going to be any advantage the community as a whole. I'm nothing against it, but I simply don't see there's going to be great advantages to it. So I will go with the majority at the end of the day, and I certainly think a social a policy which you suggested, Chair, is the correct way forward.
Okay, so yeah, I'm absolutely in favour of broadcasting the meetings. And each one of us, when we signed up and were elected to be a parish councillor, we signed up to the Nolan Principles of Public Life. And the fifth one is openness. And it says holders of public office should act and take decisions in an open and transparent matter. Information should not be withheld from the public unless there are clear and lawful reasons for doing so. And that's number 5 of the Nolan Principles that we've all signed up to of public life. So I absolutely think that transmitting and sharing what we do is to the benefit of democracy, because we are all democratically elected. I don't think we should forget those that can't make it to these meetings. I'll give you some examples. So there are a number of people in our village that actually don't like heading out at dark nights, and they are able to attend this meeting through the medium of Zoom tonight. They can see what we're doing, they can hear what we're talking about. I think that's really important. We can't forget, especially at the moment, whilst we're seeing a rise and we're talking about new variants with COVID, that there are still people out there that are shielding and are too nervous, understandably, to come to these meetings. So I think it's really important that we allow them to see what we do. And I also think it's important not to forget people like my partner, Sandy, who at this present time is looking after my children, and she is able to attend. I don't think it will affect numbers. We've seen tonight just as many people here as we normally get on a normal meeting without Zoom. But what we've seen tonight is through the medium of Zoom, we've actually got another 6 people attending through and able to see what we are doing through the medium of Zoom. So I think it's really important that it is getting the message of what we're doing and all the good things that we're doing, like the playground, for instance, is sharing that message. Thank you.
I agree with a lot of what Councillor Brunel and Larkin have said. I'm uncomfortable with it, but I think it might be, it has benefits. I certainly share some of Councillor Palmer's concerns and Jane's concerns as well. So I really don't know. I think the discussion we're going to have about the policies of it is particularly important. As regards Facebook and social media, I mean, they're not my favourite tools, but a lot of people use them, therefore we absolutely should use them to get things out to people. I would have a much more concern, well, I would have concern about using them the other way, about the officialness of responses. But to get the message out, I think it's absolutely right that we should. Something people have said to me of a concern about broadcasting is that it does change the dynamic of the meeting and it changes people's behaviour. And some will be concerned and a lot more careful to the disadvantage of an open debate in what they say.
Jane, wish to add anything at all?
No.
Specifically on the issue of broadcasting and recordings?
Well, I appreciate what Tim has said. And, you know, I fully understand that there are people who can't attend and through Zoom they are able to. I think the point I was trying to make was my concern is that people will watch the meeting and then feel that they are then able to comment, so they won't fully understand the way the council works. So, you know, in the same way that one of the comments on his Facebook post was from, you know, an parishioner who is very well versed, I would say, in committees. Because can I watch it and then can I comment? And I think we just have to be very clear, but hopefully that will be covered in January. My only concern is that, has already been said by our councillors, is that, you know, there are some horrible people around, and that's what this means as to whether the broadcast can then be used in or parts of it in ways that are incorrect.
Okay, so I will put the coat on. Right, so what do I think? Parish councils can be recorded by anybody. Anybody in this room, I've example tonight, can record it, quite legitimate. It used to be that the law changed, so they have to come into 21st century and recognise that happens. I think there are advantages if the parish council wishes to recognise that that is possible. The advantages of the parish council doing it for itself, from a personal view, because we can then decide which medium we're going to use. Are we going to use Zoom? Are we going to put it on Facebook? Are we going to put it on YouTube? I defer to Mandy's greater knowledge of such things, because sadly I'm not that conversed with any of those things, but I think there are options, different ways of doing it. But personally, I think we should record meetings. That should be controlled. Personally, I think that should be controlled by the council. Council could then put that out as the official meeting, and it goes out as a whole meeting. It is possible, I'm not suggesting you're going to, sir, but it's possible for you to go back and edit that, and you could show a different meeting.
I wouldn't know how to do it.
But there are many people who can do it. And all I'm saying is, if the council does it, if the council is recording it, council is actually broadcasting it itself through whatever medium it decides to broadcast through, it has control over that as a recording of the meeting. That doesn't stop people coming along and recording bits of the meeting or the whole meeting themselves. That's quite legitimate, but there is then a parish council version of it. So I've been thinking about this quite a bit. I've been taking advice on it from GAPTC and others. We've been looking at what other councils do. I think a lot of other councils are also a little bit uneasy about it. A lot of councils share the comments, views that Dave Palmer commented on just now. That's not an unusual viewpoint, but the law actually says now that these meetings can be recorded, can be broadcast. Strategic Council do it with theirs.
They've been doing it for a long, long time, Chair.
Yeah.
A long time.
So this parish council could come into the 21st century if it chooses to do so. That in the end is a decision for us as a council to make, not for me to make. I'm not making a decision, I'm just giving you my personal view on it. I personally think we also, as I said earlier on, need a policy on how we actually use social media. I'm delighted to hear that 3 of you have actually endorsed that, and others have nodded, so I'm encouraged by that. I would do what I'm very good at. I will plagiarise somebody else's policy, because why start on a blank sheet of paper when you've already got a lot of it down? Some of what's in that policy is not relevant to North Nibley, but a lot of it is. And there may be things in that that aren't in that policy that are relevant to North Nibley. So I will draft something on that and circulate that to the councillors within the next I'll send it to you as a Christmas present.
Thank you.
But an opportunity to discuss it and decide on whether we're going to go forward with it at the next meeting.
Thank you.
So as far as broadcasting is concerned, what we need to decide is, are we going to film it? I'm presuming that's showing pictures, is it, Tim?
Yeah, so it's of us, yeah.
So they've been looking at me all that time, have they?
Yeah.
I noticed that Tim had a shot.
I quite happily sit near there, I don't mind.
Can we get feedback from the people that have listened in tonight? Are you able to see?
So I can't, so I've shut all the comments and things like that, so it's very much controlled, it's only one way. They can't actually start any chat, they can't start, unmute themselves.
So can I ask Computer World that listening in, because you emailed me with feedback on how the sound quality has been, how it's been for you as an experience, and somebody to work with. So the email address is clark@northnibleyparishcouncil.org.uk. Thank you.
That's good.
Hopefully they've got that.
Yeah.
That will prove it.
Yeah.
So I think we need to decide. I'm going to suggest that I put this social media policy out to you, and the next meeting we will decide exactly how we're going to go forward. Now, that's what I'm proposing now. Are you all comfortable with that, or is there a counter proposal?
Can I just ask one question? I mean, I'm agreeing with that, but will this deal with like the issue of YouTube, for example?
What do you mean, sorry?
Well, whether they will then be used on a wider international frame or not? Will the policy deal with that sort of issue?
It could do, yes.
How much control we have over that.
I think it depends how much of the meeting we're going to put it through.
Yeah.
Possibly what you could do, YouTube, for example, is set it such that it's only available to people with the link and make the link available to all the people in the village in some way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one possibility.
That's really what I'm thinking about. It's only of interest mainly to villagers.
Sorry, I'm out of my depth here, as you can see, because I'm floundering. I don't know the answer to that. I think Matthew's already done, you've done some.
Yeah, and ultimately, once something's out on the internet, you don't have control of it. Anybody can lift it, change it, do anything with it. So, regardless of what you might have in policy, it doesn't stop the rest of the world. But that's the same message that goes out on our website, anything that goes on our Facebook page. It can be shared.
But Mandy,
But we could promote it to, obviously, to the villagers, to those that would have a direct interest. I've got to be honest, it's probably unlikely that anybody would then share it further.
but Mandy, the chair suggested that we recorded it as a parish council, and therefore there is an official recording. So if somebody in Cornwall or in Banff in Scotland does a modification to this recording, it would not be correct, and we could refer it if we then found that somebody was attacking the parish council because of a recording that's been manipulated. We can refer them to the official recording of the evening, which we own.
Yeah, definitely. And you can set up a YouTube channel or whatever, which was like Stray District Council have, which is the official version. I mean, I think this has been happening for years and years elsewhere. I mean, we've been able to watch Parliament on TV for what, sort of 25 years or so now, and there is the technology. People could do deep fakes and things like that. You'd have to go out of your way really to do it for one of us, really. There's plenty of other celebrities I think they should focus on.
Well, surely
Other celebrities,
it's so entertaining that you get more people to come to the meeting.
You could do.
Which is what I understand from
Well, Yeah, I do actually agree with the comment that was made earlier, that it could actually mean that people wouldn't come to meetings because they wouldn't need to. On the other hand, and it was interesting what Tim did say, that people who can't come to meetings, and there are people who can't, not won't, but can't come to meetings, would be able to be involved. So I think that's fine, but I think people would need to understand that, and probably this isn't widely understood, that once the parish council makes a decision, it can't change the decision for 6 months. Now that is something I don't think is widely understood. So if we make, for example, sir, you suggested last month that we made a decision about the Jubilee tree.
You did.
And you suggested we actually went back and revisited that.
I did.
We're not able to do that within our standing orders. It may seem nonsense.
Is there a difference between changing your opinion and revisiting it?
Well, that was a decision that was made. I wasn't at that particular.
No. The decision was to abstain at this time.
Well, that's a different decision.
Well, it isn't. That's why I asked you to review it.
All right.
Because you didn't object to it, you decided to abstain at this time.
Right.
That, in my mind, is
Okay.
a completely different answer.
Yeah, sorry, well, that's not a good example. What I'm saying is, if the parish council makes a decision,
Yes.
and our standing orders say we can't change it. So to go back to the media point, it would be no good someone now sending Mandy an email and saying, you've decided on this tonight, and you really should have taken this into consideration or so on. Too late. So we need to make that clear to the public.
And I think that's part of it, isn't it? That we really need to make it clear what kind of things we can do and can't do and how we work. And I think a lot of people don't understand. I didn't before I came into it. And so I think by pushing ourselves, by showing what we do and how we do it, I can only see it being a benefit.
Okay. So, excuse me, on the point you made about the tree.
Sorry,
I would like, you brought it up, sir. I would like you to revisit it at the next meeting.
Okay.
Not change your mind, but revisit it.
Well, I didn't look
But I think it is a good thing.
Could we do it in number 11? Because it talks about Queen's Platinum Jubilee.
No, I wouldn't have mentioned it had the chairman.
No, I think that's a very point, Tim. Tim has suggested we have got item 11 on the agenda, which is about the Queen's Jubilee. Correct. Okay. So we'll visit that then tonight. So are you all with me in terms of this? Well, I'm not asking whether you agree with me. I'm going to put together a policy, a draft policy, the discussion and agreement next meeting, and we decide then how we take forward. How we record, how we broadcast, what we do. Maybe we do, or maybe we don't, but that's for the council to decide. Is everybody happy with our approach?
Are we going to not do any recording till we made a decision?
We as a council are not, because we shouldn't until we make a decision. If individuals wish to do it, then as you pointed out, Councillor Tim Andrews is doing that as a private individual, not as a councillor. And he's made that clear.
Yes, he's still in the council meeting as a councillor.
Yeah, and I've taken advice.
It doesn't really work like that.
I've taken advice on that.
Well, you still have the ability to take photographs of property.
Sorry,
Councillor.
please.
Yeah, I'm sorry, he can't say that about Tim.
Sorry.
He does exactly the same himself.
Sorry, we've had the public session.
Yeah, I know you have, but that is serious.
The position is, I've taken advice on it, and as long as Tim makes it clear he is not operating as a parish councillor, but as Tim Andrews, and that is how he's done the recording, then he's able to do it. That is the advice I've got.
And I think the original reason why people were allowed to record things is so that, as Tim said, you could show the recording, or people could listen to the recording and couldn't get to the meeting. And that was, and the other reason for it was so that the press could make recordings in order to report on it. Those were the original reasons for allowing recordings at the meeting.
Okay, but it comes back to the legislation on this, we know that. Tim?
So just to make it clear, this comes from the Open and Accountable Government document from 2014, a guide for the press and public on attending and reporting meetings of local government. It says, can I film or audio record the meeting? Yes, councils and other local government bodies are required to allow any member of the public to take photographs, film and audio record the proceedings and report on all public meetings. While no prior permission is required to carry out this activity, it's advisable that any person wishing to film or audio record a public meeting let their local government staff know so that all necessary arrangements can be made for the public meeting. This is important because the rules require local government bodies only to provide reasonable facilities for any member of the public to report on meetings. So within that, I reported to the clerk.
Yeah, he did. And gentleman at the back who's been filming us, he actually did ask me earlier on, and he said, that's fine. And in fact, our standing orders do ask you, over courtesy, just to actually tell the chairman that you're doing it. So that's the way I'm proposing we go forward on this is, can I just, that's my proposal. Do I have a second on that?
Yeah,
Are we all in agreement with that?
Yeah.
Right. Going back to the agenda.
6.
Sorry about this. Report of district councillors. Catherine. Thank you very much. Is there anything in particular you wanted to highlight over that?
The economic development strategy will be coming out of consultation, as mentioned in the report. There is a small section which proposes priority areas for the missing cluster of parishes. So welcome your thoughts on that when the consultation happens. And then I thought you may be interested in some of the recent audit reports as well. Apologies for the delay in getting that up to you. Happy to take any further questions after the meeting.
Well, we will, as we do usually, then put this on the website with the minutes.
Thank you.
We used to, in the dark distant past, put them on the notice boards, but I think what somebody said earlier, I doubt very many people actually read them. There's probably a better chance through the website.
They are on North Nibley UK.
Yes, sorry, they're also on there. Is there anything particular about the audit report you wanted to highlight?
Well, there was a long debate, which I followed actually at home last week, which was around the planning review enforcement planning applications process. And I think there are going to be some actions taken from that in terms of an improvement plan for the development control team in terms of the processes. And council certainly have a keen interest in that work and is supporting the team to make those improvements. I think a bid is going forward for some new software, which may help to improve the planning software that's available at the moment.
Thank you.
My apologies, I can't take the whole meeting.
No, it's fine. Anybody got any questions? Councillor? Well, thank you for your report, and would you pass on our best wishes to Councillor Tucker, please recovering soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. We also have a written report from Councillor Cohen. She's unable to be here because she is also, I think she's got COVID, I think, isn't it?
Recovering, actually, yeah.
There was an issue she was trying to follow up, and I can deal with some of that when I deal with the traffic column info update later on. I do know that our county council, always representative, or Halbers of long-term sticks, so I think, not a lot of progress on that one that she took away. Okay, we move on then to the next item on the agenda. Nothing to report on last meeting, I know you weren't here, but any items for information?
Okay, so I will do a written report and send it out to the councillors tomorrow, and upload it onto the website.
We're now going to move on to the planning, and I did ask Mandy if we could put it on the screen, because I must admit, in recent meetings, it's been more difficult not seeing the actual plans, and I think we need to do some switching around here, don't we?
Thank you.
Don't get too excited, Tim.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sat here for a long time.
What's wrong?
It's hard to go from bits of paper, don't you, and then A4 print mark on the screen.
I don't want to get rid of sure we want to talk about that. Okay. How long have we got? Not too long.
Because the battery is breaking, so if you want to go, there's nothing in there. If you won't plug it, hold it down.
Okay.
Okay, do you want to? Do you want to just say, okay, if you could be brief, just tell us basically what your plans are? Yes. And we'll try and indicate on here.
Good evening. I'm Oliver Tomlins, the property owner, together with my partner of the bungalow at issue here. Bungalow at Smarts Creek. Our primary objective is to provide a family home for ourselves, close to our vineyard project in the valley. The bungalow location, its size, achieves that for us. However, in order to be energy efficient, comfortable home for us in this great location, we need to upgrade the bungalow. The upgrade is primarily the following: replace the oil-fired central heating system with a modern air source heat pump and underfloor heating where appropriate. Secondly, to replace the UPVC glass conservatory to the southwest in that diagram with a permanent extension as a living room. The upgrade will also require the replacement of the glazing throughout the property to replace the current UPVC windows and doors with more modern, efficient items. To take advantage of the aspect of the building, we require some solar panels on the south-facing roof. Just there, that's correct. The garage to the east there is a single car garage, a good size, but it's still a single garage. And to put up with our transport needs, it would be fair to extend the garage to make a two-car garage. Together with landscaping grounds, particularly to the north and west, basically to improve the screening, which is partial on one side and overgrown on another. So to improve the screening, but also to reduce the shading of the property, obviously with solar panels, there is a need to ensure a lack of shading. And also to reduce the interference of the overhead, primarily the local electricity supply to the properties surrounding us, and also the telephone wires. Hence the application that you have in front of you.
Thank you. Comments? Do you have any comments on it? No. Please.
No, it's, I mean, it sits in a fairly large plot, it doesn't affect anything that's, I think it's that far.
Hey,
Yeah, no problem.
do you have any comments?
No.
Sean? No. I think it's fair to say, sir, thank you very much indeed. We'll make, propose we'll make no comments.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we don't agree with
Yes,
you.
sir. Yeah, I understand.
To explain to you. Parish council has three options in such a situation. We can either support if we feel there's a need for support in an application, if we can object, and grounds to object, then we can make no comments. In this situation, I think we agree to make no comments in this point to move forward to start. Can I just remind us that if you wish to make comments on that application, you can do so online. In fact, we're encouraged to do so online because our comment is just one comment among many. Thank you very much.
So I just quickly ask why it is you can't support it if you're all in favour of it? What is the reason for that?
We don't have any comments to make on it. If we supported it, we need to have overwhelming reasons to support it.
You've all just supported it.
No, we just said we've got no comments to make.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, okay, seems weird to me, but
That's. Thank you for your time. Do you want to do this? We can take these.
Okay, so item 8B was the erection of agricultural building in Brookside Farm. There was strict timelines on the application. We did request an extension so that we could have a discussion as we would normally do in our council meeting, but unfortunately, because of deadlines on this, SDC weren't able to do that. So the council made agreement by email that we would have a discussion by email and submit the comments, which were all agreed. And obviously to make that completely transparent as it would be in written, I will upload all of those comments up to the website. As an appendix to the minutes so that the public can see the whole conversation that took place.
Item 9, decisions on planning applications and enforcement notices and appeals. There was one on slightly one opposite Westwood Smart Screen, and that is discharge of conditions, material conditions, and that's been permitted. Item B is the change of the use of land from agricultural to domestic C3 purposes. And this was an application I think the council heard in meeting I wasn't able to attend this October, was it?
Yes, this was where garden was used in a field basically
Yeah.
for many years, and it was regularising the fact that the owner intends to continue to use the garden, the fields of garden, so it's become garden.
This was an erection actually outbuildings and associated external works at Green Banks. Green Banks is opposite the cemetery, if you are familiar with it, on the road. So that's been permitted. And finally, the application which Mandy referred to just now, that is, it looks like far that's been permitted. So that's the information. Right, item 11, to discuss and propose options for celebration of Queen's Platinum Jubilee next year. You have any particular issues you wish to raise in this room?
So it got brought to my attention, A, because of the trees, and also had a sample mug, and I believe in the past, prior to my time as clerk, we've arranged for the schools to have a group mug.
Yeah.
So that's come through as to whether the council wants to pay for those books to be the schools. I wouldn't know how many we need, what the costs were, so that's something to look into. If that's
We did it previously when I was a clerk. We did get registrars to actually pay for it.
Yeah.
Richard. And this actually came to my house because for some reason Mandy's post comes to me. This particular mug turned out and it's got some figures in it. And I think roughly it would cost about £1,000 for each. We did it for all the children in the school. And also for all the preschool children come here. And I think to do that would cost about £1,000. That's the background to this. Okay?
Well, I've had an idea. So, on the news, a lot at the moment has been about planting trees. And in fact, in Wales, I think every person is going to be given a tree to plant. I know that obviously the mugs are a nice gesture, but I'm wondering if it would be a little bit more keeping with the times that we're in with climate change and all of that, and revisiting the discussions that were made when making Rexham Redder, and whether we could talk to the school about whether the school would like to plant a tree or some trees as a different option from giving them all a mug.
The cheapskate to me.
No, I mean, well, I don't know. I don't know. That's my suggestion.
So I really like the idea of doing something. I remember, so at the meeting when we discussed the trees, there was difficulty over location, and the kind of obvious place, well, initially obvious place was at the top, near the monument, but then you've got the whole issue of alkaline grasslands and the loss of that habitat, you know, kind of, there's a real desire to keep and preserve that, and we've got encroachment from the woodlands and things like that, so I don't know, I've been thinking about this a bit, and I wondered about maybe a bench or something would, I don't know whether other people would feel that was appropriate or not, I don't know.
What do we treat, what do we bench underneath it?
There is a bench there already, isn't there?
There was, I'm not sure whether there still is there?
Yeah, there is, yeah.
I mean, could we tie this into the sort of, you know, proposed play area? I mean, we don't have to decide we're going to spend all this money now, but for example, once an area is identified, hopefully in the playing field, would it be possible to tie in, you know, a tree and a bench there? So that, you know, I don't know.
Well, what you were suggesting about this, the idea of a tree rather than rugs, and I think the conversation about rugs only really started by.
No, sorry.
The idea of a tree, and I noticed, I mean, I did initially think we've already got a jubilee tree on the knoll. It was planted there on the boundary between the Knoll Trust land and the Parish Council land, on the last jubilee. So we've already got a tree there. I was actually initially thinking of that, but I know the point has been made about planting more trees up there. I wonder whether we plant a tree in the recreation field, providing it doesn't upset people, but it could be planted somewhere where it didn't cause a problem. And that would fit in with the suggestion that's been made about fitting in with Nick's project, of current Nick's project.
Well, we have a precedent, there's a tree planted on memory of my mother who was on this parish council for a century or something or other, so we could, you know, we have precedent, planted one on the recreation field, so we'll see whether we should go along with your mother here. She paid her often enough.
I can say that you're unlikely.
Well, she paid her several times in pageants and not.
Well, there we go. That's it.
Any other suggestions?
No, I mean, I quite like Joe's idea, but perhaps we can find a spot for this jubilee tree. The recreation field, you know, is well used for various things, and whether there's going to be room, because the other issue is the view. It's a very key view across to the Seven Valleys and Welshing. So it will have to be looked at.
We'd have to do one spot.
Yeah.
But it's called the jubilee field after all, yeah.
Perhaps we can rename it the Platinum Jubilee.
So those down in the bottom corner, they have the cricket nets.
Yeah, yes.
And they have a house and storage takes place there, so.
Yeah.
Well, it's quite a big area.
Well, we need to talk to the recreation trust about where.
Exactly. But I think put it into the proposed plan. We want to be contacted.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Okay. We need to talk about what sort of tree.
What sort of trees you want?
I think so.
Well, it's not so good.
No, I'm wrong, it's Cobble Beach, I think.
Oh, right.
Usually something that's going to last.
Well, we put a few Asian oaks, haven't we? A couple of Asian oaks in North Nibley, so it'd be quite nice to have a young oak.
Yeah.
Was there a suggestion of which tree? Did I see something somewhere in the first tree email that we had?
I think it was oak.
It was an oak on the.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that there was a suggestion of I have access to
Yeah. Well, that's good to propose the note.
So we should a tree somewhere in the recreation field to be agreed
Yeah.
with the recreation field trust.
And Nick,
And obviously we're not giving it away for your project.
Yeah. And you can put it there, money it there.
Okay,
It was definitely.
all right, so if I make a proposal on that, maybe who's going to second me on that one? I'll second it. Are the council in agreement?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
Mr. Martin.
I'm glad you read this.
That was my question.
Thank you.
Item 12. Oh, yeah, but we need this about.
This was quite a lengthy, quite a lengthy paper consultation for the waste local to Gloucestershire. Can I make a suggestion, if it suits you, that you send me emails for me to compile on the
Yeah.
waste local Gloucestershire and I can compile it, check in with you on whether you're happy with compilation and respond to the consultation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Somebody else wants to make that proposal.
This is the waste
Councillor.
strategy.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read it yet, but, is it some way that is it all to do with the, Gloucestershire County Council forcing the local, district councils to send their rubbish to the incinerator?
No, it's
Bothers me.
my quick look at it is a scoping paper that says who they're going to consult.
Right.
Identify 5 waste streams, stuff coming in, stuff going out, etc. I don't think makes any proposals to what happens at all. It's just a paper about consulting.
Is it about who controls it? That's, I'm thinking, is it going to be giving, Gloucestershire County Council the right to control what the district council do?
I imagine that if that was going to happen, that would come out of the consultation. This is just, there's a statutory duty to consult various things, a term for it. I think this just says how they're going to do that.
Okay.
Okay, let's do what Mandy suggested. She will send it to us and we will send her comments on that proposal. You happy with that?
Yeah.
And what's the deadline you do that? Well, okay, there was another deadline. Okay, thank you. Okay, item 13, to receive update reports. We've got a number of things to receive update on. Put around to councillors an update on where we are on traffic calming, because almost wherever I go, people say, what are we doing about speed through the village? And we try and explain what we've been trying to do, but we seem to be every time we come up with a good idea, somebody says, no, you can't do that because. So I thought we should put on paper what we're doing, what we've done, and where we are. ANPR has been one of the things when I was a clerk, 2014, 2016, we actually got as far as almost buying the cameras, and certainly we do a capability of putting them, but then nationally it all stopped. I am told reliably now that, quite reliably, that the police are now going to be controlling this, not highways, and that we're going to get something out early in the new year. And that will then give us the opportunity to revisit this and actually, if we decide to progress with it. So, yeah, I do feel this is now going to happen. So,
That's how full, Madam Chairman.
well, it's so frustrating on this, and
Yeah,
you know,
it's a long
it is frustrating. VAS signs, we've got one at either end of the village, they do work. And my advice is, the best way we can make them work is by all villagers slowing down when they approach the village. I know that's a daft idea, but I do find that if I actually slow down as I approach the 30-mile-an-hour zone, everybody else slows down.
Behind you,
It's
yeah.
miraculous, isn't it? So, they do work and they are accurate. We've got those signs which warn the children are crossing. They work. Not sure who takes notice of them, but they do work. We have community speed watch. We do need some more volunteers, and then we need to train those volunteers. The reason being that a couple of people from the group have actually left the village. We only had 6 volunteers in the first place, but we couldn't do this during the pandemic. I'm suggesting we revisit that and at least try and restart that for the spring. But we need some volunteers, so we might want to put something on the edge on that, please.
Yeah. I
Mandy?
think I've mentioned it a couple of times, but
I know,
I was
it doesn't stop you mentioning it again. We put up 30 mile per hour and 20 signs. We did those around the school day when I did them around the school. I don't know what impact they have. I've got some more of those, and we're going to put some in Bars Lane, I think. Now the person who destroyed the last lots left the village, we can redo those. Seriously,
Yeah.
seriously, we put them up and somebody actually tore them down.
Right.
And that's somebody who was living in that part of the village.
It's sad, isn't it?
And if there should be a 20 years plenty area, that
Yeah.
Bars Lane is the one, because anybody
Because they
who
pay
Bars
for
Lane
it.
is well aware of it. Road markings, we've been constantly reminding highways about where they should have those the slow markings and so on. And they've replaced all those, so we've done reasonably well out of highways on that one. Speed humps, this is a bit like Marmite. Speed humps sound like a great idea, but if they're outside your house, it's not such a great idea, because vehicles will bump through the night. So, but Gloucestershire seem to have a policy which is different to the one in South Gloucestershire. Because if anybody travels through Wicklow, you'll notice speed humps have suddenly, grown, I think it's the word.
I think that's because of the new housing.
But it's still a B road, and
It is, yeah.
I was told quite clearly by Highways Gloucestershire that you can't have speed humps on a B road. Now, I'm sure other people can pick up other designs, but that's the position on that. Village gateways, I know this is something we can move forward on. I've in fact got a contact. Our problem was we put one at the wooden end. We can put it near the VAS sign, which is a bit of land out. They need to be set back 400 millimeters from the road edge, and they need to be obviously they need to be installed by Highways staff.
No, approved.
Sorry, Highways approved contractor.
Which is considerably different, Chair.
Yeah, but
Potentially
I
considerably
think I might have a contact in Highways who might possibly get them put up first. So I'm not worried about that. The question is, where could we put one at the Stinchcombe end?
Well, that's quite easy because there's plenty of room by Enoch's Lane. There's enough room there. There's 400, there's at least 2 meters, so that would allow.
By Enoch's?
Well, yeah, access to Enoch's Lane below Enoch's house
Which side of the road?
on the right hand side. And if you look at if you want to look at other parishes, there is no specific place that have to be left or right.
No.
For instance, Horsley as it's going in from the Horsley Recycling Centre into it, there's no other way. So there is no obligation to have them in any one particular place. So on the right hand side, we could have it. Okay.
We could, but there's also a spot I've spotted on the left hand side, and I think visually that might be more in your face.
Indeed.
And that's where we're currently, no, below the last sign. It's below the last sign on the left hand side, beyond between the gateway and the last sign, we have a spot there.
I think we start between and the last side.
Yes, I think so.
And they don't have to be identical. I mean, it's just
No, no, no.
so we could actually have one on the left and the right. standard.
They don't have to be identical, you're absolutely right, and we need to agree on the wording, so.
Yeah.
Would someone like to put together some suggestions on some wording, and I'll get some costings? David, would you do that?
Look, yeah, sure.
Because you've looked at a number of these.
Yeah,
Across the country.
it's become quite boring.
Sport reason.
So if I could actually put together some wording, I'll get some quotes off, and then try and get that decided. Yeah.
It's a good start.
It's within the 30 mile limit, we put the round door on it.
Yeah.
If it's outside, we can't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not pretty obvious, I think. 20 mile speed limit by the school, well, we discussed that last time. Councillor Cullen was in fact going to go away to highways to get some more information. I've not had any feedback from her on that, but that's probably because Paul Road is 06, so you've probably not made any progress in that. But what I've noticed is the British school in Morton has got a flashing sign, and school opening hours. So, sorry, school children going into the out of school, which then reduces to 20 mile an hour. So I'm wondering whether that might be an option.
Temporary.
I mean, that's what we,
Yeah, I mean, that's better than nothing, isn't it? Definitely.
yeah. So again, I'm going to follow that one up. And the other idea, which I know has been suggested by many people to me, we need some pedestrian crossing at the island by the bus stop. I'm sorry, that's a no-go. I wish we not even consider that one. Although David again, you came up with a good suggestion, which we've not pursued, which is having some warning signs which flash when vehicles are approaching that particular area.
Not beyond the wit of a man nowadays to be able to warn pedestrians of a car coming up down the hill.
Yeah.
That seems right, especially on a windy day or elderly people, they can't hear them, especially the electric cars. So I think we should revisit that. I'm not sure how. I mean, I think perhaps when you discussed it with, well, it was years ago, they thought it was a laughable idea, but I don't think it is laughable. It's perfectly possible.
I do feel as far as contacting organisations that actually produce social signs.
Yeah.
Nothing for that time. Okay, so we'll make some progress on some of those issues, but I think I'm hoping in the new year we'll get some positive news on that.
I just wish people would use some common sense and not cross by the pavement at the Black Horse, cross right on the bend. Just wait up to the triangle and crossed over there. That would be a lot safer, but you know, people do what they do.
We did discuss actually putting pedestrian tram lines that took it over the process, and we didn't get any further on.
I would imagine it's down to the fact that there's a pavement that side.
It is
Just
indeed.
follow the pavement,
Yeah,
otherwise you're going to cross
That's
twice.
the trouble. That's the
So
trouble.
you're putting yourself on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I tell you the answer to your question, David? Oh, sorry, you're absolutely right. A lot of people do follow the pavement, and I've been guilty of that myself. Part of the problem with using the island is you have to put a drop curb
Oh, yes.
onto the island. You have to put a drop curb onto the footpath.
Yeah.
It doesn't say. It doesn't sound like.
I think it's probably all right on the other side by the bus shelter. It's little.
Yeah,
Correct.
you'd have to do one on the.
On the other.
Yeah, and that was the thing that highways were sticking with it. I mean, the fact is, I think if the parish council paid for it, they'd be quite happy. It's highways haven't got any money. It's, you know, that's the answer we get all the time. But when you say if the parish council paid for it, I bet the cost would be £4,000 or £5,000
Yeah.
just to do that, something like that. And you still then have to get people to
To do it.
do it. Okay, so That was my bit on that.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Go back to 1930.
Did I miss something? This is open to you.
No, 14.
Oh, I read.
Pick it up.
What was item 14?
To agree changing councillor role responsibility.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Just about your document, I thought it was really good because it just shows the work that the council and you, especially Rex, have done. And I wondered whether we need to kind of get that out there as a summary, because it's too easy, isn't it, to just say, oh, the council aren't doing anything.
I'll pop it on the.
Yeah, that's a good point.
On
Yeah,
the
good
additional
point.
note section.
Yeah, but I wondered maybe also put it like more obvious on the Facebook page as well, and just because you've done loads, Brett, and just summarising thing after thing after thing that you've done and the council have done, it's huge work. No, I know, but you summarised it, but hours have gone into that to me. So
Monday will happy pieces and put something on Facebook.
yeah,
Thank you. Sorry, we'll go back to the item on the agenda items, which was
So
carried forward from the last meeting, I believe.
yes, I think at the last meeting, we left without a role and responsibility, anybody being assigned to the role and responsibility of the Recreational Fields Trust Committee. And since then, Councillor Palmer's company's offered to take that place, we just need to vote and agree on it.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much. So repairs to damaged flower beds, I can give you an update on that because we have asked the contractor to do it, but unfortunately it's got COVID. So I'm not pushing that one. I think it'd be a bit unfair to pushing on that, but I think at some stage, a reminder from the clerk in writing would be helpful.
Yeah.
I have mentioned it to his assistant. Whether that's actually got any further than that, I don't know.
Did we get anywhere? Because I think we wrote to the person whose car crashed into it to ask for a donation towards the cost. Right.
How did you write? Did you email them all right?
There's a letter.
Okay, well,
Should we write
Yes, I'll chase that.
again?
Thank you.
Do you want to send it signed?
I know there seems to be a bit of confusion about whether we own those things, plans or not. But I was just thinking this evening of sort of a little history of them, as far as I'm aware. Somebody else might know more than I do. The planters were built by a resident over 30 years ago, that's my understanding. And then another resident donated 2 small conifers which were in there, which got quite big. And twice a year, the gardener planted them up with bedding plants and bulbs under the direction of the then parish clerk, and that was funded by the parish council every year. About 7 or 8 years ago, Councillor Brown, with my help, removed the overgrown conifers with his tractor and took them away and provided some manure and soil to top them up. And then, since then, Mrs. Palmer has planted them up and maintained the plants over that period at no expense to the parish council. Regularly receive positive feedback on how good they look.
thank you, Dave. I think that's quite a useful summary. The fact is that they don't belong to the parish council. I don't think we need to ask too many questions about how they've got there. Because I think if highways thought about it, they'd probably tell us to take them away. Because it is officially highways property, that Duck Island. So I think it's something, let's get them done. Let's just get on with life and let's get people keeping enjoying the plants on there.
And thank you to Mrs. Palmer for keeping.
That's a very good summary of how we got there. Okay, we go on to, was it 14? So,
Yeah.
sorry, I remember.
Yeah.
My number is all on there. Neighbourhood development plan.
So, at the last meeting, we agreed that we would, or I would go away and contact some of the people who kind of volunteered their services as such in that meeting, showed interest. And that we would create some form of kind of document as such of information that we could bring back to the council. I've contacted those 3 people. I've got 2 volunteers who are keen to help. There are 3, in essence, 3 people I think that we need to contact. And based on that, we will come back with information about things like timings and kind of next steps and costs, so that we've got a full document of information that we can make that official decision as to whether we go ahead with it or not.
Can I suggest we put that on the February agenda because the January one's already hitting?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, as well, because we've got to contact people, and there's Christmas and things coming up, so a bit of time, I think is good.
Well, I was asked to go away to Kingswood Parish Council about what they've done, because they did an NDP about 4 years ago. I got a lot of information from her. Not sure whether it'll help us, but at least there'll be information to consider it. They got a grant, £10,000. They've used consultants on highways issues, they've consultants on environmental issues. They've used a planning consultant. They've actually, when they drew up the NDP, they actually then paid for someone, an examiner to test the NDP. And the sort of costs along the line, the bottom line is it cost them about £44,000. A lot of that was involved with consultants because they got only about 2 or 3 people that actually are working on group. So they did an awful lot of that through 2 sources. One was through consultants, and the second one was through by employing someone full-time as a project officer to do it. What they actually did in Kingswood was the clerk took over the project officer role, and they employed someone to do the clerk job. The only way we could do that was because clerks worked from their home. The clerk could only employ someone she personally knew and was comfortable having it in her own home. So it's not as straightforward as sounds. But that's the way they did it. So the project officer did a lot of the work, and they got a lot of the consultants of wearing various hats to do it. They also had to pay SDC for their support. They found the SDC support very, very positive, actually, very helpful. They also paid GRC. They didn't use GRCC, but they did say to me, if you have to use GRCC, we've now been advised that before we can use the SDC support, we have to go to GRCC. There is a cost involved in that. One bit of advice that was given was that, from Kingswood, was that because the Stroud local plan is changing, and we're waiting for that to be endorsed, signed off, whatever they do with it, that could bring in changes itself. So we would be rather foolish to go ahead until we know what's in there. And also, of course, there's the issue about, there's also national legislation on planning, and you need to know there, because call me a cynic, governments do change direction. I do seem to remember there was a time when parish plans were flavour of the month. We spent a lot of time doing that. Parish plans are in debt, effectively. So we need to see which way the legislation is going, I think. The outcomes, one reason why Kingswood did it is because Kingswood had an awful lot of developers moving in there. Some of those developers still went ahead and developed. Some withdrew applications as a result of their development plan. And actually they submitted their applications. So there have been some positives. There have been some positives about more open space in the developments. There's been some positives about the way in which the design of some of the housing has been modified by the NDP. But the one big thing that hasn't been sorted out is the school situation. The school is absolutely jam-packed of pupils, and some of the current planning applications will mean that pupils will have to go to probably a wooden primary school. So there's an issue about that being addressed. Kingswood also budget every year. We're all sitting down, aren't we? 15 to 20,000 pounds for professional fees. Our fee set is 18,000 pounds. Kingswood's fee set is 105,000 pounds.
Right, how much?
105. So there's issues of how would we fund it if we went ahead with NDP. I think we have to be realistic. Yes, we can get a grant. We believe that grant can be up to £10,000. But I think from what you're saying about the number of volunteers you've got, a lot of it will depend on either buying in consultants, costly, or having a full-time project officer who's capable of doing it. And I think those are issues we need to discuss. About
Yeah, definitely.
Thoughts.
Yeah.
So I asked why who did most of the work, and most of the work was done by the project officer and the consultants. In fact, nearly all of the parishioners who were involved in the initial group dropped out. I don't know, lost interest, perhaps. I don't know the reasons. Didn't ask the reasons.
We don't know age.
I think that's probably where, I mean, that's hopefully a little background for you. If you need me to put it in writing, I could do, but I'm not sure. Being told I must do it. But I think that's the background. We got the background also from Slimbridge.
Yeah.
If you remember Slimbridge, the way they did it was they took on extra hours, 5 hours a week, I think, on average, over a period of the, it's continuing to do over the period of the NDP. So there is a cost there for us. Anything else on NDP?
No, I think we await the report with interest.
Right, kissing gates.
I've got no update on kissing dates, but I'll just say footpath. There were a number of trees came down on Wood Lane and Westwood Wood, which are now all clear.
You're all clear?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. Well, thank you, Dave, for, I know you did some alerting people on that as well.
Yeah, the bottom ones were done by locals. The top ones were done by the wardens this morning.
Oh, excellent, thank you very much. That's good. The kissing gates issue might be an issue when we're looking at the budget.
Yes.
We'll need to put something in our budget, I think, next year for that.
We have got money set by from previous budgets, I think, that weren't spent.
Yeah, we call it, it goes under the parish property.
Yeah.
Something, I think. Yeah. Okay. Owl boxes, where are we on that, Tim?
So owl boxes, the wood has been ordered and has arrived, and the boxes are presently being built by the orchards. So yeah,
we're paying for them.
So well, he hasn't said. So quite. So we had, I think I brought a cost in my last time, I think, from memory.
You did.
Yeah, so I guess he will invoice us, for the cost of
Does he
materials.
know that if he invoices us, it's going to take till the next meeting before we can pay him?
I think he'd be fine with that.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah. if not.
Have we decided which tree it's going to go on?
No,
And have we involved the school? We haven't at this stage.
no, not yet. No, I think once we've got the box sorted, I'll go down with Peter Kermond. We'll have a look and then we'll work out how it can be done and think about how we can get the kids involved.
Be good to get kids involved in the project, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Excellent, thank you for that.
Still waiting some dates from our builders on when we might be able to do this one. I'll just get past that is really nice. With that.
Well, maybe they don't necessarily want the work that much,
And I don't think that's the case. I think they've agreed that they will move the swing, it was their suggestion. And Dr. Ashton agreed that would be a better idea. We could perhaps ask the question, have you got an indication of the date start date?
Yeah, I think it was all agreed we should do in spring rather than November, and as the weather was in November, I think it was probably, it was an excellent decision. But it wasn't our decision to make. But then Burger report, from June, shall I read this out? Grass has been cut again. I mean, we had a very late grass cut this year, but it was necessary. Service of remembrance was held on the cemetery on the 14th. I actually attended on behalf of the parish council in Name Reef. And we've got the bill for the paying in a minute. And there were 3 wreaths laid representing St Martin's Church, the chapel, and North Nibley Parish Council. And I actually wrote on there representing the parish council and the people of North Nibley. One attendance, about 60 people.
60,
Yeah.
That's really good.
And the church chapel did an excellent cake and tea after. Thank you, David, for that.
Yeah.
That was
Well attended, I
well
would say.
attended. For those people who didn't go, and if there's an opportunity in the future, a lot of old photographs of the village in the past, which are extremely informative. Andy submitted comments on the consultation document concerning environmental, this was about cemeteries.
Yeah.
I thought generally the proposals were rather OTT. Treatment of nettles has worked well.
Yeah.
We might need to visit that in the spring, perhaps when the nettles stop growing again.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on it.
We'll keep an eye on it, please, yeah, if you would. And numerous small twigs and branches have been gathered by you, Dave, keeping it tidy. So thank you, we should thank Jean for her report.
Has the rabbit problem died down a bit, or?
Yeah.
I think so.
They hibernated rabbits in North Nibley, they hibernate.
Yeah.
There was some evidence, and haven't we got the results on my screen? But,
Yeah,
not quite so extreme as before.
yeah, that's good.
Still might be deer.
It could be deer.
Could be
They like the buzz.
Yeah, I feel like we're.
They don't like carnations though.
Oh, we'll comment.
Right, there are a few little holes around the place, but I don't know whether there's rabbits or squirrels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Andy has very kindly provided us with a draft risk management policy, which I don't propose we go through in detail tonight unless you want us to, Andy.
Oh, no, thank you.
I thought that was the right answer.
I agree.
I mean, I can say, I think it's a first class bit of work. And I discussed it with Andy today. I mean, I think, well, Do you have any comments on it? Can I go around the room again, please?
That's fine by me.
Good.
I thought it's a very good report.
Yeah,
I thought it was good, once my confusion bit was sorted.
don't worry about your confusion.
So,
We all get
It's always
confused.
the last.
yeah, no, that's good.
Sorry, I just haven't had time to study.
No.
Yeah,
I'm
very,
relying on you.
a very good, thank you.
I mean, I'm going to suggest that if you've got comments, and I've had some minor comments to make, email Maggie,
Yes.
and we'll sign that off, can we sign that off for the next meeting? Because we
Yes.
can't sign it off without comments and reading. So if you've got comments, please let Maggie have them, and we'll sign that off for the next meeting. And then we can please our auditors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you.
Most important.
Right. Assuming I'm still working on the right channel, parish council finances. We've got some payments to make.
We have. So this question is in class, I'm trying to open this one just with a there it is. Excuse me. There was the brief for £25.
Right, so first of all, on that, that's a brief which is coming out of the chairman's budget, £25, which goes to the decision. Is that right?
Yeah.
So is it made payable to them?
Yes,
It is. So
they go.
we're all happy with that?
Yeah,
And there's my salary and my contractual expenses.
Right, your salary being,
£5,730, so 5 week month. And then the
right, you're all happy with paying the client this month?
Yeah.
You're okay, plenty of that.
And then the contractual expenses of 1,200.
That's the quarterly one.
The quarterly one, yeah.
You're all happy with that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And the last thing was to get a check written to transfer the funds, because the nationwide accounts are ready for the new accounts ready for the funds, so we can transfer the funds that we were holding.
Yes, you just sign the check payable to North Nibley Parish Council.
So we need to make an internal transfer.
Okay, that's good. That's
It's payable by check because if we did it by bank transfer, the charge is 35 quid.
okay. So we're all happy with that?
Yes.
Thank you.
How much was transferred? What did we do?
Well, it's £10,000.
Yeah.
It's a £10,000 PCC payment, sorry.
Yeah.
And that's going into a second nationwide campaign.
Yes.
So the,
Understand.
So there's a separate one we on the reserves.
Yeah.
any payments in for Monday? None to report, okay. And we haven't done a back route of reconciliation.
We promised much, but I will drop it onto January's agenda and include the extra month, so it's all up to date.
Verbal reports and parish councillors. Can I start? Keep comments. Do you have anything to report?
Mine's quite long, we might want to go around everybody else, but.
Okay, we'll start with the oh, God.
I met with a representative of the Recreation Committee and I took away several points from my discussion. Apparently the parish council seems not to have requested that the recreation field be a dog-free area. Now, my recollection is that it's slightly different to that, but
There's a sign up there saying that, isn't there?
there's dog signs up there, but apparently it's not officially a dog-free area. So
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think we had this discussion a few months ago, and I think because it was in the national news that actually councils can't say that a playing field is actually a dog-free area. So I think we couldn't say that it was a dog free area, although there are signs up, but legally speaking, we couldn't insist that it was a dog free area.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
If we could have done it, we would have.
Yeah.
But,
Is there something to do with there being, like a play area, it can be a dog free area, if there's a play area? in it?
No, sorry, no, there isn't. We do stuff for councils and there's no, you cannot stop anybody walking a dog on any public. That's it, sorry.
yeah. It's a private land, we own it, but,
There is, I've noticed quite a bit of fox poo around on there. Yeah.
yeah, but someone emailed me to say they actually stopped the dog walker
right.
walking on the field.
Yeah. I understand because you've got people playing football, haven't you? And, yeah.
Anyway, just reporting on
Yeah.
the points. And they said, does the adult exercise equipment need annual inspection and risk assessment? And if so, who's responsible for it?
The answer to that is it's in the risk assessment,
Yeah.
and it's our responsibility.
Yeah.
On the action plan that's included in.
Hawkins charged the Recreation Field Committee for grass cutting and the marking for the schools and the clubs. And the committee can't claim the backpack. They wondered if Hawkins could bill us for the cutting, and then they could pay the amount less VAT.
That's kind of plan, but then we can't do that. We can't do that.
Can't do that, even though the field is owned by us.
I don't think the parish council really wants to be charged with fraud, do we?
Okay. As responsible financial officer, I.
That must change it to recreation field and it back to us.
That would be a totally different situation because we would then contract with Hawkins to do it.
We're responsible for payments.
No, sorry, we can't do that.
They, at the moment, I think they're currently paying for the defibrillator on a per annum basis, but they'll soon own it. And I wondered if we could put the annual maintenance on with ours on the wooden deal. Is that possible?
Oh, we give them the details and then they
Yeah.
can pass for themselves.
Yeah, I would have thought we can get another details of who we use.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they've got to do something with their parent, so.
Yeah.
If you can send me your contact or.
Yeah.
In touch with each other.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There are 4 bins on the recreation field which regularly get filled up by bottles, cans, takeaway containers, and also dog nut bags. The bins are currently being emptied by volunteers, the members of the committee. This rubbish is not left by the clubs or the school children. Although it's better than rubbish being scattered around, it shouldn't be the responsibility of the committee members to remove it. And what we can do about that.
Any ideas?
Well, who do they think it should be the responsibility of? What are they suggesting?
Well, the problem is it's people going on there drinking. And basically, a lot of people just going on there drinking and then putting their cans in bins. I don't know what to do about it.
No, I'm not saying.
Well, I can tell you this,
I'm not
the
saying
person who's been doing it is my sister, for the
Yeah.
last 5 years, and she's been fed up, on her own.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting that she's not doing a good job, I'm saying.
Well, no, she's doing a good job, but
Yeah.
what she's saying is, someone else ought to take
Yeah, so
responsibility.
what my question was,
who are they suggesting that person be? I
I
don't know.
haven't suggested at all, Dave got here as well.
But I mean, are we saying that could we get the council, is it something that Stroud can do? Or, you know, I don't know what do other villages and towns do with their bins that are in similar situations. That was my question.
Well, for the cemetery, David's wife been dealing with it, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Chairman, I think it might be worth visiting this arrangement, because I think in my previous links with the trust, the lease requires them to manage the playing fields. So I think the responsibility does lie with them. Now, as to how they arrange to do it,
Yeah.
it's not right that the assistant has to do it personally, but it is, I believe it is their responsibility.
I'm pretty sure it is.
What do the villages do with the bins on
That's what you ask.
Yeah, see whether there's, you know, something that we can.
I mean, the point is really that they get filled up not by users, paying users of the field.
No.
They're being done by whoever sits in the field late at night.
Well, we'll make some more inquiries on
Yeah. The moment, their committee's income is not enough to cover the costs, especially with the music festival not operating over the last couple of years. So there's an annual deficit of about £2,500. Suggestions, please.
There's no reason why they couldn't ask us for a grant.
Yeah.
Won't be £2,500, because that'd be more than our grant. But there's no reason why we couldn't give them a grant. I can't see any reason. It's for organisations in the village,
Yeah.
and they are one of those.
Yeah.
So maybe we're going to be inviting grants early in the new year.
Yeah.
But prior to COVID, did it break even?
Yes.
It did.
Well, certainly when I was on the committee.
I think the music festival
They were in credit when.
Right.
Under those circumstances. Last 2 years. different, so.
Yeah.
I think it depends really on whether they're able to get other users. For instance, Cam Bulldogs used them for a while, and I think somebody wouldn't use them for a while, and they paid an additional income. If you think that we've just got a cricket club and a football club and school, that's our users, and there's not enough.
Yeah.
But I think they used to make, they used to have a tent at the festival.
Right. Yeah.
I think the famous Pills tent.
Yeah,
They used to
yeah.
make quite a lot of money on that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the music festival took that away from the last, yes, the last one was not the music festival themselves, so that was removed from that.
Yeah, I think they got a donation in.
A little bit,
The other fast thing is that orchids, the fast cutters were told by Gloucester Council that they could carry on cutting and being paid during COVID. But, you know, that the Recreation Field Committee were still obliged to pay for it. And I told them to contact the county council. That's the end of that one. Monument Trust. We discussed the work required to survey the monument and to maintain its life-being conductor. Having received 2 quotations roughly the same cost, we decided to accept the quotation from the company who had previously undertaken the work. Altogether, this comes to over £4,000. This doesn't include any work that may need doing to the masonry. Trust members had ascertained that no protected birds were now nesting in the monument, and they cleared away the debris, disinfected the stairway. Another trip will be required this weekend, probably just been done now, to check again for any mess. And the door will be left open for the steps to dry. The monument will be opened again officially on December the 11th. And the facility to light the monument for special occasions has proved popular and is used for fundraiser. For the bits and pieces, I trimmed around the Jubilee tree and Christmas tree. I removed moss from the path around the war memorial supplied for the remembrance service. I've collected up branches and several bags of twigs that came down after the winds, as Jean said. And I've cut down a bit more shrubbery next to the churchyard wall.
Okay.
That's me.
Thank you, David, and thanks for all you've done, not just for the parish council, but for other organisations as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Keith?
I wanted to report, John.
David?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Ken?
No, nothing beyond what I said.
John?
Nothing else for me?
Jane? I think I've done all the reporting I needed to do, so about the traffic. Well, thank you. Right, well, that's the end of the meeting. It's slightly overrun, 4.5 hours, 2 hours, 35, we've got the rules, I'm sorry, number. Very cool, thank you all the members of the public for attending. Thank you for your contributions. And just to remind people, to say happy Christmas to you all. Happy Christmas. New Year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Later.